Welcome back to the Dean Obeidallah Show. Now, very happy to have on the show for the first time, although people who listen to Stephanie Miller's show is going to know her, Joanne Carducci, better known as JoJo from Jerz. She transformed, as she said, from a trapped New Jersey housewife into a social media sensation. She was just at the White House. She was hanging around with President Biden and Kamala Harris. Her Substack, which I subscribe to and I recommend, JoJoFromJerz.substack.com. Joe, nice to see you, my friend. Thanks for being on.
Hey, Dean, thanks for having me. I'm so glad that we got to meet in New York because now I feel like, we're family.
Well, we are because we're both half Arab. She's half
That's right.
Lebanese, I'm half Palestinian, but we're all Jersey. That's how it works, folks. That's right. What are you looking at? We're from
Just,
Jersey.
what are you, what
So
are you talking about?
exactly. So let's talk about though. People know you from Stephanie Miller's show. You're a regular there, but for people who don't know you, how did you go from just doing social media stuff and it grew over time to then getting invited to the White House?
I mean, I came out of a pretty nasty marriage and I
Oh,
decided that
sorry.
I had something to say
Right.
in around 2020, 2019, 2020. That's when things started to change. And I just kind of kept saying what I wanted to say in my most genuine as possible voice. And I guess it resonated with people because it was the sort of things that regular people say. I'm a regular mom. I live in the suburbs. And I guess I got the attention of some people over at the house and they started inviting me to things and not paying me, but inviting me to things. And then I was at the things and then I was sharing the things. And one thing led to another. And now I'm going to the DNC. It's bizarre. My life has changed, Dean, like so much in the last 4 years. It's some kind of, it's
In
like
a
sometimes
positive
it's
way.
like, yeah,
In a
in a
great
positive way,
in a great way.
upside down in the best possible. Yeah.
You were at the White House for the 2-year anniversary of the Inflation Reduction Act, which I wasn't invited because I'm pro-inflation, and they know that about me. I'm very much about price gouging and hurting the little. Oh no, wait, that's the Republicans. I'm sorry, I should have been
Uh-huh.
invited. But what was
Yeah.
it like at the White House for the 2-year anniversary of the Inflation Reduction Act?
I'll tell you what, it's like, what the vice president was talking about today. These are tangible differences that the administration is making in American lives. So what I was there for was a focus on the $35 cap on insulin. And there were Americans on this panel who've struggled with diabetes and they had different stories. And I heard one of them, a marriage counselor who just moved me to tears. She was paying $2,000 a month, $2,000 a month
Wow.
for insulin, and she couldn't go see her daughter and her grandchildren in Pittsburgh because she couldn't afford it because of her insulin. And now that's down to $35 a month. And that's the difference, right? That's between what the Democrats want to do for the American people, what the Republicans want to keep from us. They want to keep those prices high.
They do. And today, Vice President Harris laid out a whole agenda, including expanded child tax credits for people. They're going to have a contribution if you're a first time home buyer, putting a cap on prescription drug costs that we've talked about. And they've been trying to do for a long time, like on insulin specifically, and
Mm-hmm.
also ending price gouging. And Republicans are really, they're calling her Communist Kamala. And to me, it's really simple. Republicans protect corporations. They want them to make more money because in turn they donate to their campaigns. So they've always stand with corporations against people. But I think this, look, you're in the suburbs. This message from Vice President Harris, obviously it'll take Congress to enact it. But do you think it'll resonate with families who are struggling to make ends meet and they hear one party, Democrats, going, here's a full agenda, how we're going to address it. And Donald Trump is just holding up cereal boxes and Tic Tac things at his rallies, and there's nothing makes sense anymore.
Yeah, Donald in touch with what is really happening with the American people. These are two, like, rich guys who don't have any idea what it's really like to be a normal person here on Earth One.
Right.
And for somebody like me, who's a single mom of two kids, yeah, prices are very important to me. Obviously, I would like to be paying what I used to pay for a pizza now, and a pizza in the state of New Jersey is $20. That's not the pizza place's fault, right? But somebody's getting rich off of that, and it's not the pizza place; it's the corporations that are gouging all the prices for the pizza people. But the thing is, this is a winning message because as I was working as a paraprofessional educator when the pandemic hit, and
Mhm.
I had a choice, I had to make whether or not I was going to continue to work or pay for childcare that was going to take all of my income so that I could have somebody else watch my kids. This was a choice before me, and that's just not American. No
Right.
one should have to make that choice. And so this is what the Biden Harris administration is working towards. It's what Kamala Harris will continue to work towards with Tim Walz. By the way, Tim Walz, so controversial, is feeding all the kids in his state. Can you believe it, Dee? He's
Yep.
feeding hungry children. What a
communist.
communist.
Exactly. Communist walls, these Comrade Walls and Comrade Kamala are
Yeah.
doing their thing. Pizza's
Yeah.
$20 for a full pizza. Like when I was in Jersey,
Yeah.
it was like 8 and 10, but now I live in Manhattan and it's $6 for a piece. Like
Exactly.
there's a Brooklyn pizza
Yeah.
by me and they're actually really good, but it's $6. I'm like, that's a lot of money. You got to get it on layaway. So
Yeah. Seriously.
you've got, so that's, look, I can't, for people on increments that are not moving, with eggs go up, milk go up, it's challenging. And I'm so happy that Vice President Harris is leaning into also greedflation, because I wrote about this earlier in the year that Democratic candidates for Senate were leaning into it. Sherrod Brown, Bob
Mm-hmm.
Casey in Pennsylvania. But President Biden touched on it, didn't want to lean into it for various reasons. He's just a different generation. She's leaning into it. She should. Polling
Yeah.
shows most Americans blame corporations and their lust for greed, for their lust for profits as why our prices are going up now. There's no supply chain. It's 2024.
Right. No, this is just the CEOs expanding that gap between themselves and their wealth and the average American citizen, because they're not going to lower the prices because they raised the prices during the pandemic. And of course, they're not going to lower them now. And the American people, and yeah, I think she is leaning into it because she should lean into it, because we need to blame the bad guys here. And they're getting richer and richer and expanding that gap. And it's completely unfair. And the blame lays at their feet. And we can do something about that. And by the way, Donald Trump gave those same people this massive tax cut that never trickled down. And if he's, God forbid, elected again, he will do that again. That saddled us with more debt than almost any other presidency in history. And he wants to re-up that. And that's not good for America.
And I'm talking to JoJo from Jerz, Joanne Carducci. So the another thing, you not only go to the White House earlier in the week, you went yesterday to the event in Maryland where President Biden, for the first time since announcing he wasn't running re-election, was on the stage with Vice President Harris. And what was that like? What can you share for us?
Well, I'll say this first. I was shocked by the line. First, I got there. It started at 1:30. I got there around 10:45, and a friend of mine got there at 9. She got there at 9. She was in the front quarter of the line. There had to be at least 800 people in front of her, maybe more. There had to be at least 5,000 people after her that were in line. Most of those people didn't even get in. I got very lucky. I got in by the skin of my teeth, but that was amazing. And everyone online was smiling. They were happy. But it was like balls hot. It was like 900,000 degrees out, and everybody was happy. And inside, it was electric. It was absolutely electric. And again, nobody was crowding anybody, getting annoyed. Everyone's sharing their stories. And then when they came out, the feeling in the room, the love in that room, I get very emotional. And I cried, I ugly cry. I'm a crier.
You cried when President Biden came out?
I'm a crier. Like I cried when I met him. I cry a lot. When I saw him and when I talked, we waited there for hours and we all talked and we shared these stories about what sort of sacrifice it would require of a politician, of any human being, to do what he did, and right. That how much hope she embodies, and what this has changed in terms of this election. Everyone is on the same page, and we all love him. He's become even more revered than ever, and we're all so on board and supportive of her. It was amazing. It felt like Obama energy times 10. It was amazing.
That's remarkable. And by the way, in case people miss it, you mentioned the term balls hot, which in New Jersey, that's what our meteorologists, that's the actual term meteorologists use in Jersey to say in Sea Caucus today, it's going to be balls hot. You're like,
or it's going to be a big hair day. Okay. Don't even bother straightening today.
That's a very Jersey thing. So, and by the way, you're from a Republican area of Jersey. Is that true? Or
that's right. Yeah. I grew up in 3 different counties. Increasingly Republican as I've moved along, but this one I'm in Warren County, and it's changing slowly, but it is very red here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm from Bergen County, which is the suburbs of Manhattan, and that is probably one of the bluer. Essex County is probably the bluest, and then Passaic County. But there are times that Bergen County used to go red, but not in a long time. It's evolved. New Jersey's become a solid blue state. There was a time when it was a swing state. There was a time New York went Republican for president. Ronald Reagan won it in 1980. So things evolve, things move. So I'm so glad, though, you shared what you saw yesterday, because we saw clips on TV, and to see what it's like in the room changes things. So let's talk about someplace. I'm glad that neither of us were in the room, but it was yesterday, Donald Trump in New Jersey. I don't know how far from you. I mean, he's in Bedminster.
Not far.
He was he said to there that the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which he can give out to anyone, he gave to Rush Limbaugh, he gave out to big donors, and he
Jim
said,
Jordan.
right, it was, quote, much better than the Congressional Medal of Honor, which is the nation's highest military decoration, which is given to soldiers who are wounded or even killed. But to Trump, wealthy donors deserve more recognition because they gave money to his campaign. He was giving this award to Miriam Adelson, who was then at the time married to Sheldon Adelson, big time Republican donor, big casino magnate type of guy here. And today, a lot of veterans are really outraged, and they should be. This is just, this is despicable. I wish there was a Jersey word for it, but he's just a scumbag. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a POS, right? Like that's what he is. He's a real POS because I don't know if I can swear in here, so that's what I'm
Yes,
going to
it's
say.
SiriusXM. You're allowed to.
Okay, so I can say piece of shit. He's a piece of shit.
No, you can't
right?
say that. Oh my God, we're canceled. No, you can say that. I'm kidding. It's
But for real.
No, you can't.
And how many times does this mofo need to disparage and insult our military before MAGA starts to believe him? This is not a one-off. This is not an outlier. This was not a oopsie. This was not a, oh, I insulted veterans again. This was part and parcel of everything he's ever done throughout his entire public-facing career, let's say, from mocking John McCain to picking fights with Gold Star families. Remember that widow who he said on the phone, your husband knew what he signed up for? I mean, they're talking about the suckers and losers guy who wouldn't go to honor our fallen because it was raining. It was raining. And I'm not going to get into his service and his draft dodging, because a lot of people didn't go to Vietnam for a lot of different reasons, but he had a medical deferment, which was a whole bunch of nonsense because he was rich. But this yesterday, I mean, the way he said it was so cold. They're all dead or all shot up, as if like that's a weakness. But this is who he is. He constantly reveals it. I don't understand why anyone would ever say he loves our troops. That is a complete and total lie. Like everything about
him. No, he loves to do photo ops with our troops. That's the truth. That's about it. He doesn't want to help them. And he said about Miriam Adelson, the reason it's better is that she looks beautiful compared to our soldiers who are wounded, have lost limbs, or are dead. And this really, and by the way, on the whole thing about Vietnam and the bone spurs, I just had Fred Trump on 2 days ago, who's the nephew of Donald Trump, who told firsthand how that he was there when the grandfather came up, essentially got a doctor who was renting in one of Fred Trump's, the father's, buildings, and came up with a bone spurs thing. And Donald Trump had played sports in college, was scouted by professional baseball teams, never had a bone spur, never. It literally was made up. There's no doubt whatsoever. We know that. And that's, again, the garbage that he is. And then there's JD Vance, who is in a running. Today, JD Vance defended those comments by Trump saying they're totally reasonable. But then again, JD Vance said he would have overturned the election, that he would have done what Mike Pence didn't do. But JD Vance on Wednesday, and you're a suburban woman, so I want to get your reaction here. He said suburban women don't care about abortion rights. Quote, they care about normal things. Then he said, like groceries. So look, you're in the suburbs. What do women care about reproductive freedom? Are they fine with having someone impose their religion as law to force them to carry a fetus against their will to term?
Let me tell you, when Dobbs happened, my girlfriends who never ever talk about politics, all of them, Joe, we got to do something. Like I was like, hi, yeah, that's what I do. But they're like, we got to do something right now. Yeah, we talk about groceries. Sure. That's what we talk about at baseball games. We don't always talk about repro. We don't always talk about those issues. But is it top of mind when we're going into that voting booth? You bet your ass it is. Because we had a 50-year held right stripped away from us, and our daughters' son is going to live in a world where he's going to have to contend with that as well. Well, if Republicans got their way. Right. So we can, to use a famous phrase, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. So we're talking about groceries, and we're talking about which administration is going to help battle those prices. And we're talking about which administration is going to codify our right to bodily autonomy. You can bet your ass. And JD Vance can stop with his attacks on women, because every day he rolls out a new one. And I don't know what the hell that man's problem is with women, but I've had it.
He's had issues. I mean, we found out from a 2020 podcast, the host said the whole purpose of postmenopausal females is helping raising grandchildren. He said, yes. Then for women who don't have children, they are childless cat ladies who are miserable. So the only thing that he likes are women in childbearing age who are having children, who are vessels for more children, not control, not freedom, not independence and self-determination. You're just doing, in his view, what a woman is here for. And that's the right-wing evangelical view. I don't even know if I think he's Catholic, but this is the right-wing religious view, is that women, your only job here is not to teach a man, because it says in the New Testament, you shall not teach a man, you shall learn in silence, that you shall just be a vessel for children, and you should have no choices one way or the other. This is just remarkable. It's 2024. It's The Handmaid's Tale as an ongoing series.
Right. And here is Donald Trump picking the absolute worst possible candidate he ever could have picked, someone who's more extreme on these issues than he is, because he doesn't even have a conviction on any of it. He just wants to appeal to the, the base and whatever their awful demands are. But JD Vance is legitimately awful on these issues. He legitimately hates women. I mean, the guy wants domestic abuse survivors to stay with their abusers because it's better for the children. Is it? Is it really? I don't think so.
No. And I'm chatting with our friend Joanne Carducci, better known as JoJo from Jerz. So what about, like, what are the other issues? Like, you're in Jersey because you're in a unique place. You're not in a city. You're not in the Beltway politics media world. You are a true New Jersey suburban woman, a mom of children, and you have friends who are peers who probably don't follow politics closely, but some might not. But what do they talk about? Are they talking about the campaign? Is Vice President Harris on the radar of your friends who don't normally talk about politics? Like, how's it playing out there?
It's crazy because a lot of them, like a lot of the country, and I'm not like this because I love me just some Joe Biden, like something fierce. Like I'm almost like I drink the Kool-Aid big time. I love the man.
Wow. Okay.
To a fault. Love the man to a fault. My friends before were like, oh, I don't really like either one of them. And there was a lot of this sort of like, this one brushstroke that painted the both of them as old men that they weren't interested in. And I mean, I understand a lot of people in the country shared that view, and that's fine. But as soon as this changed, as soon as he stepped aside and he endorsed her, they were like, again, texting me, Joe, this is amazing. She's so exciting. My own 14-year-old son goes, Mom, TikTok is all Kamala, where it was all Trump before. My 14-year-old son is like, she's so exciting. My daughter is 11. She's like, Mom, she's brat. I love this. I'm brat. You're a brat. And I was like, what's brat? I guess we're brat. But all here, that's what everybody's talking about. Just like they're talking about all over the country. It's people are genuinely fired up and excited. She's invigorated the country. She truly, truly has. And that's what we're talking about here. I mean, we're talking about issues like gun violence prevention, which isn't New Jersey, but anytime there's a shooting, it affects the whole country. And that's what my friends talk about a lot too.
Oh, they do.
But they are really fired up. They're really excited. They used to text me, what is your plan? What is your escape plan? You need to get out of the country. You're probably going to end up in a gulag. Now they're like, what's going to happen at the DNC? Who are you going to see talking? Like, tell us more. I'm like, this is amazing.
This is different. We had Congressman Andy Kim on yesterday, who's going to be the next senator from Jersey. Yes, very nice guy. I had not chatted. I've only, this is the first time I've had Governor Murphy on tons of times, and Mikey Sherrill and Bonnie Watson Coleman.
Met her.
And other members of Congress and the lieutenant governor and others. But it's the first time we had Andy Kim, and he's going to win. He's going to be the next U.S. Senator and the first Korean-American U.S. Senator in the history of our country. So he's making history right there. And he's a very nice guy. He's like in his 40s. Good guy.
Incredible guy.
Yep. So you're going next week to the DNC starting Monday. So what's your plan? Like, what are you going to do there? You have a podcast as well. So you're going to interview people for your podcast?
Yep, I am. I have a whole lineup that I'm trying to schedule right now. I'm going to have George Conway and Galen and hopefully Tara Setmayer. And that sounds like everybody from the Lincoln Project, but there's a whole bunch of other people. I'm going to meet JB Pritzker on Saturday. And I'm going to meet Mark Hamill on Saturday. So I'm going to see if I can smooth talk them into some kind of content. I'm just going to absorb as much of it as humanly possible. I'm going to cry my eyes out on Monday night when Joe Biden takes that stage like a giant baby. And I am going to cry like I cried in 2008, not like I cried in 2016 when Kamala takes the stage on Thursday. I am excited. So many people are going to be there. I go to the protest in Milwaukee, which is at the convention hall where Trump's RNC was, because Kamala's going to be there. So we're all thinking taking a shuttle. I'm so fired up, Dean. I'm so excited for this. I feel like I'm like a kid that's going to the biggest, like going to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Like I promise I will not fall into the chocolate river though. And I hope I won't fall down a trap.
No, we hope not. But if we hear the Oompa Loompa singing about JoJo from Jerz, JoJo from Jerz, there's a lot of Oompa Loompa songs you can do there. So you're going to go, by the way, what's the name of your podcast?
It's Are You Kidding Me with JoJo from Jerz, because that's Jersey, right? Like, are you effing kidding me? I
Are
can't
you
say.
effing kidding me with JoJo from Jerz?
Yeah,
So you sat, and the reason you're going to be there, I met you at Stephanie Miller's show because we were on the panel at the end with Ellie Mistal and Stephanie and John and everyone else. And so
yeah.
Saturday, are you going to be part of their panel at the Sexy Liberal Tour show in Chicago?
I don't think I am now. I think Luke Skywalker might have bumped me out of my
Oh,
spot.
Mark Hamill, because he's on the panel and the governor, and I saw Jamie Harrison's going to be there. That's a
And
super
Jill
show.
Banks and like,
Oh,
it's like, okay, I guess the chick from Jersey.
you should put you on. At least you're from Jersey. They have to have some Jersey representation on this panel. But
Every panel should have somebody from Jersey on it.
and your podcast, is it weekly? And you talk
Yep.
to elected officials and activists and
Oh
stuff like
yeah.
that.
I've talked to Tom Swazi, Eric Swalwell, Jared Moskowitz. I've got who's coming up? I can't remember. I've not Mark Hamill yet. I had Henry Winkler on,
Henry
Dave
Winkler.
Foley. Yeah.
How'd you
He's
get
a
Henry
friend.
Winkler?
He's a friend.
Henry Winkler's a friend of yours, Fonzie?
He really is a friend of mine.
Arthur Fonzarelli is a friend of yours. Okay,
I
we'll
pinch
have to talk
myself
about that.
every day because it's true, but it's true. Yeah, my kids know him. They've spoken to him on the phone. It's like he's family to me and to my heart and my kids. They love him. He's an
Does
incredible
he
human
talk
being.
politics a lot? Does he talk about
Oh no,
politics?
we don't. He doesn't. Well,
Oh, okay. Then I
he
can't have him on
gets
the
his
show.
toes in there. But I
Right.
had him on my podcast to talk to his book, which I recommend everybody reads because it's honestly the most amazing book I've ever read, and it really tells you a lot about who he is and how he got to be this person that he is. But yeah, so I mean, I've done elected officials, I've done actors. That sounds like a sex thing, but it's not. Comedians, you name it.
Well, that's great. And people got to check that out. And
Yeah.
last thing, what are you going to be doing the next couple of months in terms between now and election day? Like, what is your work and your view going to be? Is it going to be using the Substack, your podcast to get people out to vote? Are you going to be doing activism or volunteering on your own or
All
organizing
of it.
anything? Oh, yeah.
All of it. I'm stay tuned for something that I think is going to be kind of fun with a bunch of creators that we're talking about. It's like a super friends kind of creators thing that we're trying to get together that we think we can really move the needle. So stay tuned for that. But I will be, participating in fundraisers, hosting fundraisers. I'm not so great at knocking doors. I'll be using my Substack. I'll be using my social media. I'll be using my TikTok. I'll be using all the things to reach people in all the ways I can to get them fired up and understand who's responsible for these things like Roe being overturned, because there's a percentage of Americans who still think it's Joe Biden and not
I
Donald
know.
Trump. So we got to get out there. We got to keep pushing the message, relational organizing, friend to friend organizing, talking to my friends at the bus stop and the baseball games and all of those things. I am not going to stop. I'll be drinking heavily, but I will be doing all of those things at the same time.
That sounds great. And if we hear on the broadcast Monday someone crying that makes it onto air, we know it's Joe. So,
Oh,
Joe, thanks so much. It's great to have you on here and I'd love to have you on again. And I hope people check out our podcast, and our Substack again is JoJo from Jerz, JERZ.substack.com. Well, I also write at Substack, so read my stuff and have fun at the DNC. Have a great time.
thank you, Dean, and thank you so much. I got to have you on my podcast so
Sure.
that
Love to.
you can be one of the names I can say I did.
Yeah. People are like, who's that? You're like, well, I had Eric Swalwell. They're like,
I
oh,
don't
okay, I
think
know him.
so.
All
I don't
right.
think.
All right, Joe, take care. Have a great day, my friend.
Thank you so much.